The blast knocked out their entire communications grid. In seconds, forward base Echo went from connected to completely dark. No radio, no satellite uplink, no way to call for help. The attacking force had used an electromagnetic pulse, military grade, impossible to counter. Panic spread through the command center as officers realized they were blind and deaf. That's when she stood up from her repair bench. The quiet woman who'd fixed their radios for 8 months walked to a wall panel nobody paid attention to. Her fingers found hidden latches, revealing equipment that predated their entire base. Analog systems, hardened against EMP. Technology from an era when satellite communication required different skills. She began connecting cables with movements so precise, so automatic. It was clear she'd done this thousands of times before. The dead screens flickered. Impossible. Then came the authorization prompt that made everyone step back. Phantom network activated. Operator identification required. She placed her palm on the scanner. What appeared next changed everything they thought they knew about their quiet repair technician. Clearance level, ultraviolet. Operator, Ghost Bird. Years inactive, 15. Before we continue, where are you watching from today? Drop your city in the comments. I love seeing our stories reach across the globe. And if you've ever misjudged someone based on first impressions, hit that subscribe button. Sometimes the quietest people carry the loudest secrets. Elena Novak had been invisible for 8 months. At 42, her plain features and perpetual silence made her fade into the background like furniture. The other personnel had categorized her within days. Competent but unremarkable radio technician. Someone who did her job and nothing more. The EMP had changed everything. Now those same personnel watched as she transformed their dead command center into something from a different era. Her hunched posture straightened. Those scarred hands moved across analog controls with absolute authority. The hesitant woman, who barely made eye contact, was gone. Colonel Marcus Webb stood frozen, watching Elena work. His million-dollar communication system was scrap metal, but this woman was pulling miracles from equipment that looked ancient. Vacuum tubes glowed. Analog meters twitched. Systems that should have been obsolete decades ago hummed with purpose. Elena's fingers flew across a keyboard older than half the soldiers present. When she pressed the final key, every dead screen blazed to life. But these weren't normal displays. They showed satellite feeds from angles that shouldn't exist, through cameras that weren't supposed to be real. Their base appeared in perfect clarity, enemy forces exactly where the screens indicated. Lieutenant Porter whispered in recognition. These were GhostNet satellites. The legendary surveillance network that conspiracy theorists claimed could read license plates from orbit. Except it wasn't conspiracy. It was real, and their radio repairwoman had complete access. Elena spoke for the first time in weeks, her voice carrying unmistakable authority. The attack force consisted of 200 personnel, approaching from 3 vectors. Their EMP weapon required 20 minutes to recharge. Air support was available from Carrier Group 7, currently 400 miles southeast. Her fingers danced across controls. Retasking surveillance assets now. Webb demanded to know who she really was. Elena didn't look at him, focused entirely on her screens. Elena Novak was a cover identity, created 15 years ago when GhostNet was officially decommissioned. In reality, she was Colonel Diana Reeves, former director of strategic satellite operations. The program that didn't exist, controlling weapons that weren't real. The revelation rippled through the command center. Several officers recognized the name from classified briefings. An operator who could track anyone on Earth, who'd stopped 3 nuclear incidents without firing a shot. Someone who'd disappeared after testifying to Congress about surveillance overreach. On the screens, enemy forces advanced, unaware their every movement was tracked. Elena's fingers moved faster, entering commands that reached beyond surveillance. Target designation markers appeared over enemy vehicles. She was painting targets for weapons the base didn't know existed. Major Harrison pointed out they had no offensive capabilities. The EMP had fried everything. Even with perfect intelligence, they couldn't engage. Elena's scarred hands paused. A slight smile crossed her features, the first emotion anyone had seen from her. She informed them GhostNet wasn't just surveillance. The satellites carried kinetic weapons, tungsten rods that could strike from orbit with devastating force. Clean, precise, unstoppable. The room erupted. Orbital weapons were banned by treaty. Using them would cause a diplomatic nightmare. Elena turned from her console, facing the officers. Her gray eyes held the weight of impossible decisions. Outside, enemy forces were 15 minutes from attack positions. They could debate while soldiers died, or let her save the base with weapons that didn't exist. Webb looked at the advancing forces, calculated casualties, and made the only choice that mattered. Elena resumed typing. Targeting solutions locked. Orbital assets in position. The tungsten rods would take 4 minutes to reach terminal velocity. She entered the final authorization, one she'd memorized 15 years ago and never thought she'd use again. Impact came without warning. Enemy vehicles simply ceased to exist, replaced by perfect craters. Command posts vaporized. The EMP weapon disappeared in kinetic energy. In 12 seconds, the entire attack force was neutralized with surgical precision. Elena was already opening quantum encrypted channels. Her reports were brief. GhostNet activated in defense of American forces. Kinetic strike successful. No friendly casualties. The response came from someone whose name carried weight across all branches. They acknowledged Ghost Bird's actions and ordered immediate extraction. Colonel Reeves was needed elsewhere. The quiet technician began shutting down systems. Each satellite feed winked out. In minutes, the miraculous technology vanished back into classified darkness. She'd spent 15 years fixing radios and waiting, hiding at bases worldwide, maintaining skills that didn't exist. Her reactivation meant others were being recalled. The invisible war was heating up. The extraction helicopter arrived, a black aircraft that landed without permission. Before leaving, Elena turned to face the command center. Her words carried weight. They should remember that quiet people in unremarkable positions might be more than they seemed. That sometimes the best protection came from capabilities everyone had forgotten existed. The helicopter lifted off, carrying away their radio technician who'd turned out to be one of the most dangerous women in military history. Official reports would list equipment malfunction, enemy forces retreating for unknown reasons. But those who were there knew the truth. They'd seen tungsten rain from heaven. They'd watched a ghost save them all. Webb watched the helicopter disappear. Somewhere above, satellites that weren't supposed to exist continued their watch. Operated by people who'd officially disappeared, protecting borders from threats that would never make headlines. Elena Novak was gone, but Ghost Bird was back where she belonged. The base returned to normal within hours. But in the repair shop, Elena's workspace remained untouched. Sometimes guards heard ghost signals in the static, whispers of data streams carrying messages for operators who weren't there. 3 months later, they received a package with no return address. Keep the analog systems maintained. You never know when you'll need them. Ghost Bird. Attached was a manual for equipment that didn't exist, written in handwriting they recognized. They started maintaining the old systems with new respect, understanding that obsolete didn't mean useless. That sometimes the most powerful weapons were the ones everyone had forgotten. That in the right hands, a simple radio could command the heavens. Listen, I know you have a choice in what stories you watch. Every day, thousands of videos compete for your attention. But you stayed with Elena's story. You witnessed her transformation from invisible technician to guardian angel. That tells me something about you. You understand that real heroes don't always wear capes or seek spotlight. They fix radios in silence. They wait in shadows. They save lives without asking for recognition. If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about the quiet people in your life, then I'm asking you to do one thing. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me, but for them. For every Elena Novak hiding in plain sight. For every ghost warrior protecting us from threats we'll never know about. Your subscription means these stories reach others who need to hear them. Someone struggling with being overlooked. Someone whose talents go unrecognized. Someone who needs reminding that the quietest people often carry the most powerful secrets. We live in a world that celebrates the loud, the obvious, the attention seekers. But you and I know better. We know that true strength whispers. That real heroes remain invisible by choice. By subscribing, you join a community that sees beyond surface. That values substance over show. That understands sometimes the person fixing radios in the corner might just be the one who saves everyone when darkness falls. Click subscribe. Be part of something bigger. Help me tell the stories of the ghosts who walk among us. Because every subscription is a salute to the silent guardians who keep us safe. And remember, The next time you dismiss someone as ordinary, they might just be extraordinary in disguise.